One other question that kind of came through is a little bit more on the technical side. So is there an integration plan between JumpCloud conditional access policies and CrowdStrike zero trust assessments? So I can give a little bit of insight there in terms of working with the teams as we build out this alliance and integration. And so we have an integration today for those that are tuning in, where essentially, we can make sure agents are running on devices. So if you're our CrowdStrike customer, we have the ability to kind of get JumpCloud on those devices. And then if you're operating with JumpCloud, we actually came out with some templated commands to making sure that the Falcon agent can be deployed no matter where users are, making sure that you can have some of those pieces. The question, though, of kind of getting into those zero trust assessments. So yes, that is actually we are looking at that right now, and that it brings up an important component of kind of why people would want that, because if there's something on the telemetry that we start seeing from CrowdStrike side, then can we invoke other identity-based actions and maybe even some identity-based resolutions before things get out of hand, right? So as soon as we start to see, hey, some of that discovery, hey, that user's trying to look at some other pieces where they aren't typically, what are some of those signals, so that way we can make automatic essentially security device decisions, or at least making sure that IT and security professionals are put in a good place, so that way seeing all the telemetry, even across kind of two integrated platforms, the data and the understanding and everything else kind of flows into one. So yes, that is one of the pieces that the product teams are looking at. And then the next question we have, is there any kind of actions that can be accomplished with policy or automation deployed on JumpCloud side in response to Falcon detection? How does that interaction work? So I think, again, that kind of comes back into what are some of the zero trust assessment places that we can look into, some of those being places, and then a little bit more on the JumpCloud side. And so because we have an agent operating on the machine, it comes out at root level, we can send those commands, we can update and patch the OS as well as browsers, and kind of getting into applications in the future, but making sure that not only the device is managed and secured, but it's also up to date. So that way, I think Google Chrome had 7 0 days so far this year, and it's not done yet. So even larger organizations, as you start to think about that and kind of all the daily usage that is happening on these devices, it really becomes impactful in making sure that as you put your house in order, it's a clean house, it's a secure house, and you have all those different pieces put to place. Then the last question, just in terms of managing both those agents, and so really kind of making sure that we can come through. So that's actually a question that we'll follow up a little bit more individually, and making sure that kind of implementation is all set there. And so with that, I think we don't have any other kind of larger questions to kind of cover with this group today. I want to thank you so much for dialing in and tuning in and understanding kind of what are all those best practices that you can start to implement, think about as you go into kind of this natural planning selection that we have, kind of looking at the next year of 2023 and making sure that you're starting off on the right foot. Thank you again, Patrick, for joining us today and sharing your insights and kind of what are some of those best practices we can implement both on the internal side, but then also think about the external landscape.
Well, thank you for having me here on the webinar with you, Chase. Always a pleasure to be working alongside JumpCloud and doing what we can for a brighter future.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Please subscribe and check out more content from us.